Okay, today we are doing a project. We are going to try to recreate this design. Um, at first glance, I thought it was going to be a really hard project. I was like, oh, that's a lot of different shapes. And it was, I'm not gonna lie. It was a pretty extensive project for me. Just because okay, so if it was just a triangle, um, like this hourglass figure, and then shaded on the sides. I could do that if it was all the way across. Just real simple, one helper function, but this is hourglass up, hourglass side, hourglass up, hourglass side. So it did take a little bit of thinking and trial and error. Not a little, a lot actually. So let's minimize that and pull it over to the side a little bit. So we imported the turtle. Here in the turtle screen, it always started in the middle, and I really wanted it to be on the top left corner. Just so I could, it would take up the whole screen, so you could see the whole design. So I did this test.pu, test back, test left turn, test forward, test right turn, test pen down. That just pick up the pen, go to the corner, put the pen down, pretty much. And that brought me to the very top left corner. The first function I defined was the triangle function, so it was just this basic triangle, right here. First, I did a polygon with three sides, and each angle was like 120 degrees. It was like it was like a triangle, but it made it wouldn't make this pattern right here because this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So I had to do some math, and using the Pythagorean theorem, I figured out that that length right there is going to be whatever those two lengths is added squared and added together, the square root of that. So that's why this is math dot square root 3200, because I made each one of these lengths right here 40. So this is going to be 40 squared plus 40 squared root, which is square root of 3200. Um, and then so that first triangle function makes that first triangle, like I said, and then we just fill it in with whatever color we choose. I like that fill option. And then here we're gonna do the square of triangles, which was a little bit more challenging. Because like I said, I didn't realize it was a 45, 45, 90 triangle before I started playing around with the code. So here I did if statements because to fill it, I only wanted every other one, and I tried multiple different ways of doing this, but the best I could come up with was for I in range 2. If alt, so alt right there is like every alternate, so alt for short, is true, then the triangle would be color 1. Um, and if it's false, other colors. So farther down in our code, so that was our first helper function to make that one triangle. Um, Second helper function to make the square of the triangles. Our third helper function is the double square triangle. So I had a whole line of the same exact square triangles, and it was I couldn't quite get a helper function to alternate. So I just did a helper function that would do these two together, and then you would do that 8 times instead of trying to do this one, that one, this one, that one. I just called these two together one function. So that is the double square try right there, and just simple, another simple little function, and then from that I use that helper function, like I said, to do 2 times 8, which would make the whole row. So row of doubles. So same thing, but this one I did if. So if the square was divisible by 2, then it's going to be false, else it's going to be true. And that's what did the offset patterns right there. Um, and then I defined the next row. Once I got one row done, it started going really fast because I got the first row done, and then all I had to do was go all the way back over here, go down, and then add the next row. Since these two are alternating patterns, what I did was I skipped that whole row and just went straight to the other one. So I went one row, all the way down to this row, all the way down, skip, all the way down to this. And then I made another helper function called opposite row of doubles, which was the exact opposite. So the black triangles were facing the opposite way. And all I did was switch the if statements around. If I is divisible by 2 equals 0, all equals true, where up here it says all equals false. And that gave me the exact opposite pattern that I needed. Opposite color row, same thing. I just did the next row function and then went all the way to back up here. And then I added the next row. And perfect. So I'm gonna run this code real quick. It's not real quick, it's actually pretty long. And then do you see how we start up here in the corner? Well, it might be a little off screen. But it starts up here in the top left, and then do you see we skip that row? And it's alternating trying to make it so you can see all of it, but not really working that great. Like I said, this was a really challenging pattern for me. I have it set on speed 0, which is the fastest it'll go, and it's still pretty slow. And that was one thing I would get, this far, and I would realize I made a mistake, and I would have to start over, and then just running the code alone would take a couple minutes every time. So altogether, I think I worked probably 6 hours on this code, which sounds like a ridiculous amount of time, but and it still has a little bit of a couple kinks in it, but yeah. And then we start up here on the next row. You see, we go back down and it's opposite. Filled in opposite. And perfect. I actually got my inspiration from this for a checkerboard program that I saw run. Which seemed easier because you didn't have to worry about the inside shape. Triangle shape. It was just, white, black, white, black, white, black. In the original picture, this actually was white, black too, but I like the blue and black a little bit better. It gives it a little bit more of something. We're almost there. This is probably the longest code I've run so far. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let me minimize that. And pull this up. Pull this right next to that. I can't really get them on the same page. But same kind of pattern, hourglass, sideways hourglass, hourglass, sideways hourglass, and then going down and sideways, up, up. So it's just yep, same pattern, same everything. So like I said, this was a tough project. But what I learned from it was trial and error is key. If one thing doesn't work, just comment it out and try something else. And if that doesn't work, but the last one did, uncomment. Never. I was erasing a lot, and then I had to retype. So commenting out is really key. Anyway, thank you.